This is the Watch Me First movie for week 4, and I call it the Painted Mirror. I want to show you the module right here. And in the module and in the asset folder, I have given it to you like this. So you're only going to get these two files. I will view that a little bit bigger. I'm so sorry I did not, but here it is. Okay. So I give you the steps to paint and the student mirror. Now I wanted you to see in a previous movie, for those of you that didn't take me for Intro to Photoshop, or if it's been a long time, I want to make sure whether you're an animator, a designer, an illustrator, whatever facet of this wonderful multimedia creative world you're going into, I want you to understand the proper steps to paint. Now, this isn't a movie to show you the proper steps to paint. This is a movie to show you what it is that I want you to watch. So for those of you that have taken and understand the paint theory as I deliver it, then you don't have to watch the practice mirror tutorial movie Paint and Color Theory. For those of you that don't understand the paint theory, I would really like you to watch that movie, because I'm going to bring it over from my other screen. I was all completely organized. Just 1 second. And it is the Paint Color Theory movie right here. So I'm only going to go through it for a second, because as you can see, I have, this is an older version of Photoshop, but it doesn't matter. I have channels in front of me on this side, and I wasn't into the dark format, so just forget it. But I have paths as we've talked about, and I have layers as we've talked about. So what I want you who haven't ever had me before, please go through this movie. I want you to see how the big stuff goes on the bottom of anything, and as you approach the little stuff, I'm going to advance it so you can see this happen on screen. You can see how I have a huge fill of red, even though the reference right there says there's only a little skinny bit of red on each side of that reference right there. I go from red, then I go to a gray, as you can see, a little white on it, then a little red, then watch this, a little gray right there. So now I've formed the red. Then I keep on going, and the whole movie kind of plays itself out in a really good way. I think when you get to the end of this movie, you'll have an idea of what I call eye over mind training, the ability to look at shapes and break them down into reasonable layers and paths and everything else that it accounts for. So this is the time of the semester when you're going to have to determine, I'm going to minimize this, when you're going to have to determine, and I want to open up that, let me see what I did here. I want to open up the student mirror. So here is the file you're going to get. I didn't finish my sentence. I want you to determine how much help you need in understanding how to paint productively, which means efficiently, and make it look really good. Okay, so here I have my sheet metal. You don't have to paint anything but the mirror in this movie. Here is the window, and I'm going to zoom in. I'm putting the channel palette lower so we can see stuff here, and I'm going to double click the path palette so I can hit the F key and zoom in a little bit more so I can get to show you what I want to show you very, very quickly. And this is why I'm showing you. So I show you Brian's mirror, and Brian's mirror has all of these layers here. See them? There's like 10 layers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 layers. And they have masks. Now I've given you the exact same layers to paint on, and you have to follow my next movie, which is actually painting the mirror movie. And then you fill up these layers and you execute the layer masks. It's that simple. Okay, with that said, I'm going to close that. And I'm going to go into this window folder, which you do not have to do. Why did I do this? So I could take it off. So I could show you that things happen in Photoshop. Let me, that have to be with the big things on the bottom. And as you build up, okay, I want you to see what that looks like, especially if I were to show you the clicky copy. See how I've gone white, red, and gray. See how I have, and I'll do it again. See how I've gone white, red, gray. How come? Because the clicky copy out here had white, red, gray. So the next color, well, let me work my way down. Watch this. Is white on the gray, then black, then gray, then black, then a blue-gray. Okay, with that being said, look what I'm doing. Now I may vary with that. There's the white. Here is the black. See it right there? See, I'm pointing to it right there. Here is the gray. See it? There's the black. There's a little fix on the one edge. And there's the big window. Now, that looks like small little thin layers of paint, but they're not. They're actually large shapes on top of large shapes on top of, they're large shapes underneath, smaller shapes on top. And then when you put the little shine on, it looks darn good, doesn't it? I mean, that looks almost better than the original does. Then you're going to paint, you don't have to paint that. You're going to paint the mirror. And in the mirror, it's the same concept. So if I take all of this away, you have big shapes and big shapes. Then you work your way to your smaller shape, and smaller shape inside the black area. Then inside the red area, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's how you're going to paint. So it's just so fast and it's so beautiful to learn how to paint that way. There's the reference and there's the mirror. So I'm going back to the module, and I want you to determine what it is that you need to do. So I'm going to start a couple things. If some of you haven't really understood how brushes work in Photoshop, and even for those of you that think that you know how brushes work in Photoshop, I would really, really like you to open up that Understanding Brushes movie. Even though I show it with an apple, ignore the apple. It doesn't matter what that is. It matters, do you understand what I'm doing here? Do you understand what that spacing is all about? Do you understand what default spacing is? And do you understand brush presets? So I want you to go through this movie. It's only a few minutes long, and watch it. That'd be really cool. Now, which movie is that? It's this movie right there that I'm clicking on. Now, I also do the Wacom tablet movie. Here is my version of the Wacom tablet movie on my machine. I show you how to, figure out which Wacom tablet you have. It didn't come with a driver. You can go get your driver. And then I show you how to manipulate a brush. See how it goes from thick to thin to thick? And see how you can get some incredible things out of a Wacom tablet that you can't get out of a mouse. Now, for those of you that have never painted with a Wacom tablet, watch the movie first. Look at how quickly I put that texture. Look at how I can rotate the Photoshop canvas. Okay, again, I know this is a watch me first movie. This is mandatory. I want you to watch even to catch yourself up on the painting theory, because when you get into week 5, for you design students and for you illustration students, week 5 shifts. Now, I don't have a lot of stuff in the week 5 illustration thing yet, but by the time you get there, it'll be loaded with stuff. Okay? But back to this. Whoops, painted mirror. I want you to paint that mirror. It won't take you long. It'll take you longer to watch the movies than it will to paint the mirror. But if you try painting the mirror without actually watching this one that I'm going to click on right now, I don't think you're going to do it right. And it's not that I don't want you to do it right, or I didn't say that correctly. It's not that you can't do it right on your own. It's that I want you to watch a paint theory that has been worked on for a long time, and I just want you to hear one thing, and then I'll end this movie. I have never blown a deadline in my life, and I have had thousands upon thousands upon thousands of clients. So I want you to learn to handle the stress. In order to do that, to be the best Photoshop painter you can be. And I shall remind you, and I'm going to, if you open up this last one, I think I've said it a couple of times, but here are the painted student projects. Some of these were done by designers. Some of these were done by illustrators. Some of these were done by animators. This was done by a designer. Yeah. That was done by a designer, and I'm going to show how to paint something like this. It's not hard. It's fun. But the same person who can paint that can also paint that for thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So I hope I have your attention. Enjoy this week for the Painted Mirror, and don't be in a hurry to finish it. Just try to understand the paint theory. See you in the next week.